Oh.
All right, so I have shared my whiteboard. Before talking about this section, I'd like to give you a quick background. So we are talking about trigonometry. This is the 5th chapter. Okay, let's talk about the basics and then we'll talk about the next section. Okay, we need to understand a few things, and this discussion is just what we discussed yesterday as well. This is my y-axis and this is the x-axis. Now I need to see one thing. Yes, this is x and this is y. Okay, now this is the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, all the trigonometric ratios are positive. Okay, in the second quadrant, only sine is positive. I'm only writing down those trigonometric ratios which are positive. In the third one, only tan is positive, and in the fourth one, only cos is positive. This is the origin. All right. Now, this should be clear whenever we're talking about trigonometry. In the first quadrant, by the first quadrant, I mean all the angles between 0 degree and 90 degree. All the trigonometric ratios, cos, tan, and sine, for these angles are positive, right? Then from 90 degree to 180 degree, because we know that this is 90, then this is 180, this is 270, and then this is 360. So I can write down 360 as well. And this is 270. Okay. Then I know that all the trigonometric ratios in the second quadrant, by the second quadrant, I mean the angle greater than 90 degrees and less than 180. All are negative except sine. Only sine is positive. And then between 180 and 270, tan is positive. And between 270 and 360, cos is positive. Okay. This is one thing. The other thing is that all these angles are measured in the anti-clockwise direction. That is why they are positive. And generally, we have never seen angles with a negative direction. But yes, if we have any angle with a negative sign, it means that we need to go about that in the clockwise direction. So these are some basics which we need to understand. Anything that you have not understood so far?
No, nothing. Everything is clear.
Okay, very good. Then let's talk about some examples where we'll be using these concepts. Okay, so the question is, express in terms of trigonometric ratios of acute angles. Part A says sine 140 and B says cos minus 130 degrees. Okay. Now the question says express in terms of trigonometric ratios. What is a trigonometric ratio? We know that sine theta equals perpendicular over hypotenuse. Then for cos, for tan, all these are trigonometric ratios. But it says of acute angles. We have sine 140. 140 is not acute angle. How do we define acute angle? It is between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just plot it quickly. This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. And what do they want us to find? This would be 140. And if we are talking about sine, so it would be perpendicular over hypotenuse. Okay. Now, let's keep one thing at a time. This is 140 degrees. The question is clearly telling us to find the trigonometric ratios of acute angle. 140 is not acute angle. So we will find the corresponding acute angle, which would be this one. So angles on a straight line are 180. So this pink angle would be 40 degrees, right? Why? Because 180 minus 140 will give us 40. Did you understand this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, very good. Now I'll make a triangle quickly because I'm interested in finding out the sine 40 value. So this is the right angle, that is 40. This would be the perpendicular side, and this would be the hypotenuse side, and this is the base. Okay. Now, since we don't have anything, like we don't have perpendicular, hypotenuse, or base, so we will write down the answer this way, that sine 40 is basically equal to, we need to write it in terms of trigonometric ratio. So it would be sine and acute angle is 40, right?
40.
This would be the answer. Okay. Let's talk about the next one. Here we have cos minus 130. Again, this is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. Cos minus 130 means that we need to go in the clockwise direction and it would be greater than 90. So it would be somewhere here. So if I make a line, this means that this angle is 130 degrees. You can write down minus, or it's totally your choice. Minus is just for your understanding. You only need to understand that when you have minus 130, you are going in the clockwise direction. Okay. Now again, the question was express this in a trigonometric ratio, but with acute angle. So this is going to be what? Okay. Now we know that, what is this angle?
50.
50. So is the answer going to be cos 50? Okay, again, this is the
Minus
first.
50.
Yes, basically this is the first quadrant. The angle is 50. Angle is not minus 50, okay? This is the first quadrant. This is the second one, third one. What do we know about the third?
Okay.
We know that cos is negative in the third quadrant, right? So we will write down a negative sign. And what about this? Why didn't I talk about sign here? Because I was staying in the second quadrant and I know that sign is already positive in the second quadrant. So that is why we had positive sign with sign, okay? But since this time we are in the third quadrant, yes, initially we will just talk about cos 50, that is it. And then since this is the third quadrant, in the third quadrant, only tan is positive. So this would have a negative sign, right?
Yes.
Okay, any confusions?
No, I understand.
Oh, please feel free to ask me, okay? You should know that I'm not a
Okay.
teacher who minds questions. If you have not understood anything, you can ask me 10 times. I would not mind that. Okay. Let's
Thank you.
talk about another example which is similar to this concept, and let's see if we're able to do that or not. So this time we have given that cos theta is minus 3 by 5 and that theta is between 180 and 270. Find the value of sine theta and the value of tan theta. Now I will do 30% work and I want you to do 70% of the working, okay? All right. Now let's understand the question first. Given that cos theta is minus 3 by 5 and that this is the theta, it is between 180 and 270. Forget about the question. Let's just plot whatever we see and then we'll read the question, because then things would make more sense. So I'll just help you with the plotting. Now this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay, now this is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, this is 180 degrees, and this is 270 degrees. When I'm saying 90 degrees, I mean this is 90 degrees. When I say 180, this is 180. When I say 270, this is 270, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we know that since the theta is between 180 and 270, we are in the third quadrant where tan theta is positive. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what else do we know? We know that in the third quadrant, obviously cos would be negative, and this is the theta. So if I make a triangle quickly, because we are talking about trigonometric ratios, this would be the right angle. So we have been told that cos theta is minus 3 by 5, which means that minus 3 is the base. So this is 3 basically, and
Mhm.
this is the hypotenuse side.
Yeah.
That is 5. Okay, that is good. We have minus 3 because this basically would be minus 3. But since right now I'm writing down the lengths of the triangle, so I will just write it down with a positive sign, okay? Because lengths are always positive. Minus is coming because it is minus 3 because it is cos, and cos is negative in the third quadrant. Anyways, what exactly was the question now? Find the value of sine theta and the value of tan theta. Now we need to find sine theta. Forget about sine theta and tan theta. We know that we are interested in all the trigonometric ratios, so it is advisable to find this side of the triangle as well. So how will we find this side, Munja? Using the Pythagoras theorem.
Pythagoras, yeah.
Very good. So it would be 3 square plus y square equals 5 square, and y is going to be 25 minus 16, and this
Minus 9.
sorry, minus 9. Yes, this is basically minus 16 minus 9 under root, and this will give us 4.
16.
So this side is 4. Okay, right now
Yeah.
I'm not writing minus 4 and minus 3. The lengths are 4 and 3. This coordinate is minus 3, and the y coordinate of this point is minus 4. Okay, now we
Yeah.
are interested in finding out sine. So sine theta is what? Some people have 4 by 5, and I know that sine is negative in the third quadrant, so I will put a negative sign. Okay, then don't mix up the concepts that it is minus 4 divided by 5. No, we know that sine is negative, and for this triangle every length would be positive. Okay, so what would be for tan? Tan theta is
Opposite, which is 3 over 4.
okay, so it is 4 by 3, right? And since tan is positive, so we will keep it positive. Yes, you can think about it that way as well, that it is minus 4 and that is minus 3. That is why it is positive, but that would be confusing, right? We have used the similar concepts to basically determine that tan theta would be positive in the third quadrant. Okay, so this is it. This is how we do such questions, right? Okay.
Yes.
So anything that you have not understood?
Do you know the angle that we found between 270 and 180? We drew our line.
You are confused with this angle?
With the line, is it, I mean, we draw, is it the angle that we're interested after the 180?
Okay, all right. Basically, the thing is that the question said that the theta is greater than 180 and less than 270, right? So technically, it is going to be
Okay.
of this type, right?
Yeah.
We talk about acute angle in case of triangle. So I have just written down the equivalent theta. This theta would be
Okay.
180 plus theta, and I am only interested in the acute one. So I will do 180 plus theta minus 180, and that is going to give me theta. Okay, yes, your question is a very good question basically, that technically theta is between 180 and 270, but this is certainly not greater than 180. Yes, because we have used the equivalent acute angle, right? Just like we were doing in previous examples, where we had
Okay.
sine 140 and they wanted us to find out the answers in terms of trigonometric ratios with acute angle. So we used sine 40 there. Do you remember that?
Yes.
All right.
No, I understand now.
Okay, very good question. Okay, let's talk about another example because these concepts are very, very important and then things would get even clearer with time. Okay, now we have all right. Now the question says you need to find the exact value. It means that you need to find the value of this. Okay, so either you can just use your calculator and just find it out for sine 120. But the reason behind doing this question is to tell you the concept that sine 120 is same as sine 60. Okay. Now, oh, sorry. Now we have sine 120. 120 is positive. So we have started from 0 degrees. We have reached 90 degrees and this would be somewhere 180. If I make a line, it would be something of this type. I'll rub the extra part.
Mm.
Okay. Now this is 120 degrees and this is going to be
60.
yes, okay. So we should know that sine 120 is equal to sine 60 degrees. Now you can use a calculator to find the value of sine 60, but I want you to find this as well, and then you will see that you are getting the same values, okay?
Okay.
Just check it on your calculator and make sure that your calculator has that D on it because the angles are in degrees, they are not in radians.
Yeah, they're the same.
Okay, and that is under root 3 by 2. Since the
Yeah.
question is saying we need to find the exact value, so we will just write down the exact value under root 3 by 2. Now, what do we understand by under root 3 by 2? Because the next part would be done using this. Under root 3 by 2 means what, Munja? That, can you tell me the
That means that
y,
yes,
x, this should be x and that should be r. Just take your time and find the values of x, y, and r as well, okay? Because we will be using that in the next part.
okay. Mm. um, y is 2
Okay,
and x is 1, and the
okay.
hypotenuse is no y is root 3,
Very good, excellent. Okay.
and r is
Yes,
is 2
very well done.
and x is 1.
Okay, and you have used the Pythagoras theorem?
Yeah.
All right, so let me just write it down. Okay, now basically what we know is, we know that sine is perpendicular over hypotenuse or opposite over hypotenuse, whatever you call it. So 60 degrees is the angle. The side opposite or perpendicular to 60 degrees is basically under root 3 divided by hypotenuse 2. And to find out this x, what we do is we square y plus x square, and that will give us r square. So this would be 3x square, and then this would be 4. And finally, we will get x equals 1. Okay, very good. All right, this was the first part. That is good. Let's talk about the next one. So it says, this part B, it says you need to find out cos 7 pi by 6. Okay, now how will we find out the exact value? Okay, so first we need to think about things nicely. Okay, so first just
Okay.
see if you're comfortable with the angle in radians or theta. I personally think it's good that we get comfortable with radians as well, because that is equally important. So this is, or maybe I will plot this on the same triangle, or on the same drawing, because we need to use the first part in this. Okay, so this. Okay. Now, Munja, we know that if I talk about radians, this is 0 radians. Then this is pi by 2 radians. This is pi radians. 3 pi by 2 radians and 2 pi. Okay. So 7 pi by 6 is certainly greater than pi, and it is less than 3 by 2 pi. Is it correct?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Just take the value of 7 by 6. 7 by 6 is 1.1666 and 3 by 2 is 1.5. So we know that this angle is basically going to be in this quadrant. How? I'll do that. So pi by 2, pi, and then 7 pi by 6. So it would be this triangle. Okay. Now this complete angle is 7 pi by 6. So this one is going to be what? Can you please tell me?
7 pi 6. It's not like minus pi.
Okay, look, basically what we do usually is, when we have angle in radians, we subtract 180, right? With the whole angle. So this time we have angle in radians. So what we are going to do is, we have 7 by 6 pi. If we subtract pi, we will get this angle, right? And this is going to be pi by 6. Okay.
By 6, yeah.
So this means that this angle is pi by 6 radians. And pi by 6 radians are how many degrees, Munja? Can you please check that?
Sorry?
Pi by 6 is how many degrees? Pi by 6 radians are how many degrees? Can you please check that?
Is it 30?
Yes, okay. So basically, I will make a triangle again. Okay. Yeah. And simply since the question is telling us to find out the value of cos 7 pi by 6, so the value is going to be equal to the value of cos pi by 6 with a negative sign, okay? Because
Yeah.
cos pi by 6 is basically coming in this
Quadrant.
quadrant, okay? And why do we have a negative sign? Because if you think about cos pi by 6 directly, like if I talk about this only, this is basically this angle, right? This is pi by 6, and it would be for this triangle. But I'm using the same concept in the third triangle. That is why I will put a negative sign, right? This is why negative sign is
Okay.
important. So what is the value of cos pi by 6? You can just use your calculator. Convert that to degree mode first.
Is it 30 degrees?
No, wait. You can use the directly. Just do it for degree. Do it in degrees mode then. Yeah, pi by 6 is 30 degrees. Yes. Then you should have a D on the calculator, right?
Yeah.
So what is the answer?
Okay. Yeah. Minus cos. It's minus 3 over 2. Minus 3.
Yeah,
Sorry,
under
minus 3 root 3 over 2.
That's right. So this would be the answer. All right. So in this example, the most important concept is about the quadrants. Okay. We need to
Okay.
think about the quadrants. Now here we used sine 60 for finding out the value of sine 120. But since sine 120 is in the second quadrant, it would be positive. So I did not talk about the sign, right? Talking about
Yes.
cos, 7 pi by 6 is in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, only tan is positive. So we will be using a negative sign with cos pi by 6, okay?
Yes.
All right, that is good. Then let's talk about some more questions. Okay, this time we have given that sine 50 degrees is B, express each of the following in terms of B. Part A says sine 230. Okay, let's understand this first and then we would be able to do it. Given that sine 50 equals B, okay, what does this mean? This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. Sine 50 means it would be somewhere here because 50 degrees is this angle.
Yeah.
I'll make a right angle triangle because it says that sine 50 equals B. So we know that it is sine 50 equals perpendicular over hypotenuse. This is B and this is 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. Well, now what is the question? The question says express each of the following in terms of B. What is sine 230? This is 0 degrees. 90 degrees. As soon as I saw that every angle is in degrees, I'll just write down these. And this is 270. And then this is again 360. Okay. 230 means it is going to be somewhere here.
Mm.
Okay. Now I will again make a triangle and I will talk about the acute angle. I'm not interested in this angle. I will talk about the acute angle. So
Okay.
what would be the equivalent acute angle, Munja, if the total is 230?
It will be 50 degrees.
Yes, very good. This would be 50 degrees, okay?
Mhm.
And I will make the right angle triangle. It's not the right angle triangle. It should be like this. This is the right angle. So
Yeah.
now the value of sine 230 is basically the value of sine 50.
50.
And what next? The quadrant came. This is the first quadrant. This is the second one. This is the third one. So what do we have in the third quadrant?
We only have tan is our negative, our positive there.
Yeah, so this would be negative, right? Because sine is negative.
Yeah.
Because technically sine 50 is this, okay? We are not talking
Yeah.
about sine 50. We are talking about sine 50 in the third quadrant. That is absolutely different. That will come with a negative sign. Very good. So this example is there. Let's talk about the next part of this. B part says, what would be the value of cos 50? Yes, Mudra, I want you to think about it. Cos 50 is again this angle, okay?
Yeah.
Just take your time and think about the value of cos 50.
Cos 50 will be adjacent over the hypotenuse. So our adjacent is on the x-axis and the hypotenuse.
Yes, you are thinking in the right direction. Okay. Now for cos 50, what do we need? What do we need for simple cos? We need curly brown hair. So it is cos theta base over hypotenuse. Okay. So what is base? Base is this. What is hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is this. So I already know from sine 50b, it is some people have, so perpendicular over hypotenuse, r is 1, right? We already know that. Hypotenuse side is 1. We have y as well. We are interested in x. How do we find x? Simple Pythagoras theorem. X square plus b square equals 1 square. So if I make x the subject, I'm going to get this, right?
Yeah.
So this would be x basically. Okay, and now can you please tell me the value of cos 50 in terms of b?
The value of
Cos 50. Cos 50 would be base over hypotenuse. What is the base of my triangle?
It's the root of 1.
Very good. Very good. Divided by what is hypotenuse?
1.
Excellent. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, cos 50 is just
okay,
there.
I'm here now.
Okay. Then the final, the second last one is C, that says tan 40. Again, Munja, we did not think about the sign because we have cos 50 cos 50 is in the first quadrant, so it would be positive because all are positive in the first quadrant. Okay. What about
Okay.
tan 40? Now tan 40 is easy. Tan is basically perpendicular over base.
Yeah.
So what is the perpendicular side? You call it, I think you call it the opposite side. So what is the opposite side?
Okay, it's B.
Hmm.
Over
Yeah, but yes, you are correct. You are 100% correct. It is B, but it is B for 50 degrees. What is the angle? The angle is 40, okay?
40. Yeah.
So in this question, basically the concept is that this is 40 degrees. And now you need to think about this angle, okay? Now what is the
Okay.
perpendicular side?
The perpendicular
Side with 40 degrees as the angle is, the side opposite to 40 degrees, it would be under root 1 minus
1
b square,
B
okay?
squared. Yeah.
Divided by, and what is the base now? The base
The
according
base
to
is
40
B.
degrees. Very good, B. So this would be the answer, exactly. And the
Okay.
last part is C, D, that says tan 140 degrees. So what is tan 140 degrees? Again, it is tan
It's
140.
in second quadrant.
Very well done, very good. Yes, it would be the second quadrant. And it would be with this, right? So
Yeah.
we know that it is in the second quadrant. So this angle would be 40 degrees. So basically tan 140 is equal to tan 40 degrees. And what about the sign? The sign would be negative because in the second
Negative.
quadrant, only
Yeah.
sign is positive. So it
Sign.
would be, what was tan 40? Tan 40 was under root 1 minus b square from the first part divided
Yeah.
by b and with a negative sign, right? This would be
Yeah.
the answer. Okay. So yeah, these are all the questions. We are done with this section. So I would like to give a quick summary. The most important thing is this diagram. You should know that in the first quadrant, all are positive. In the second one, sine, third one, tan, and fourth one, cos. Okay. You should know
Yeah.
that when the angle is positive, we are going in the anti-clockwise direction. When the angle is negative, we are going in the clockwise direction. And last but not the least, sine
Okay.
230 is not sine 50. Sine 50 is basically in the first quadrant. We
Yes.
are talking about sine 230 that is in the third quadrant. So we need to use this concept that we will have a negative sign. Okay, never ever forget that. The sign is
Okay.
extremely important. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So anything that you have not understood in this section, please feel free to ask me.
No, I did understand. Really, thank you.
Okay, okay, very good.
How do I access this recorded? Because I can go over them again.
Yeah,
For
I'll share these recordings because you know you are the only student in the class today, so I'll share these on the group. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let me just see what the next section is. Okay. So it is basically about graphs of trigonometric functions. So I'll just give you a quick background. We'll talk about it in detail tomorrow. So it is 5.4, again, very important section. It says graphs of trigonometric functions. Now, Munja, just like all other graphs, you know that for a linear equation, we have a straight line. For a quadratic equation, we have a parabola. For cubic, we have different things. We need to understand one thing, that for all the trigonometric functions at your level, by all the trigonometric functions, I mean sine, cos, and tan, we have three fixed shapes. We make some changes with the function and then the graph changes accordingly, right? So for now, let's just talk about the basic shape of the equation y equals sine x. Okay, let's talk about the basic shape. Now this is my y-axis.
Okay.
This is the x-axis. We can go in the negative x direction as well, but we prefer staying this way. This is x. This is y. Okay. Now you can take out your calculator and we'll be using that basically. So the basic shape of sine x is a wave of this type. This value is pi by 2. This is pi. This is 3 pi by 2 and this is 2 pi. At this point, the value of y is 1. And at this point, the value of y is minus 1. You can double check all this from your calculator. Just check the value of sine at 0. So you will see that sine 0 is 0. Okay. Then when you check sine pi by 2, that would be 1. Then when you will do sine pi, it would be 0. Sine 3 pi by 2 will give you minus 1. And then sine 2 pi will give you 0. This means that sine is 0 at 0 degrees, at pi degrees, at 2 pi degrees. And I can continue this graph as well. I can keep drawing this graph this way, and on the negative x-axis as well. But for now, we are just talking about the basic shape. So this is the basic shape of sine x, okay? Understand it this way. For a linear equation, the basic shape is a line passing through the origin. Then we make changes and our line keeps on either moving on the x-axis or on the y-axis, because we have seen such lines as well. This is also the equation of line. Then this is also the equation of line, right? But it keeps on changing with the equation. Right now, we're talking about the basic graph of sine. Just like parabola, for any quadratic equation, let's say y equals x square, the basic shape is this, okay? So this is the basic shape of y equals sine x. Are you familiar with these graphs?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Then let's talk about for y equals cos x. Okay, again, I'll draw the basic shape first. Y-axis, x-axis, this is y, this is x. The basic shape is something of this type, and this angle is pi by 2. This angle is pi. This is 3 pi by 2. This basically, and then this one is 2 pi. The maximum value of this function again is 1. The minimum value of this function is minus 1. Now you can just check these values as well. For cos 0, because x is 0 here, the value of function would be 1. For cos pi by 2, the value of function would be 0. Yes. For cos pi, the value of function would be minus 1. For cos 3 pi by 2, it would be 0. For cos 2 pi, it would be 1 again. Okay, they are basically at the same level. They are at the same level. I'll make this again. It is something of that type, right? All right, now these are basically the basic shapes of sine and cos. We'll change the function and we'll see the changes in graph accordingly in tomorrow's class. Okay, that is it for today. Anything that you would like to ask?
No, I'm so glad that you are clarifying some of my confusions.
All right, that's great. So are you sure that you have